All right, guys, here's going to be episode 3 of the Bootcamp. This is going to be over IFVGs. Everybody's favorite sort of entry confirmation, right? Seems like everybody's trading IFVGs these days. Um, so let's get into it. I'm going to go over how I use them, when I avoid them, and what not, okay? So, IFVGs should be your final entry confirmation, not your first entry confirmation, okay? You should never be trading every single IFVG you see, right? Like, you don't see an IFVG and be like, oh, I'm going to get in here, because that's just not how that works. And there are tens, if not hundreds, of IFVGs every single day, right? There are IFVGs all over the place. One here, like there are IFVGs literally everywhere. And they work, which is why a lot of people use them. But you have to understand when to use them, where to use them, and when to avoid them. All right. So a really good kind of base thing that I like to do with IFVGs is pair them with a CISD. And what I mean by that is when we get an IFVG that engulfs a lot of candles and pushes above candles in the opposite direction, kind of like this candle right here, where you push above all of this, that's going to be really good. But that's kind of like a really, really crazy strong example, just because it's a market open candle. But something like this, where this is a really good example. Something like this, where we have an IFVG and we pair it with a CISD by pushing below all of this. That is going to be a more probable IFVG than something just like something just like this, right? So this ends up failing. We get an IFVG, but we don't push below this candle, getting the CISD to kind of give us that extra confirmation that we do want to move lower. Um, so the first way you can use IFVGs is to trade with them towards strong draws and liquidity, right? Like this was right off market open, but it was really strong in that it was towards this data high. We had PPI today at 8:30, and trading IFVGs towards strong draws and liquidity is my favorite way to use them, and by far the best way to use them, right? So we market immediately opens and just rips up. So it's a market open trade. It's just an example. I typically don't trade right off market open. Sometimes I do. But yeah, so immediately pump up, get 3 IFVGs, one here, one here, one here, and a CISD. So although it is more risky because it is right off market open, this would have been a really, really good trade. Okay? When you have an IFVG that displaces very strongly, and gets that CISD or just has a lot of irregular volume, you're gonna want to take that, okay? Um, Being because a CIS or an inversion is pretty much all it is just disrespecting of the current structure. It's like disrespecting an imbalance. The market wants to fill these imbalance fill these imbalances and then kind of move in the same direction, right? So like this 1 minute gap, we tapped into it and started to move lower. That's what the market typically wants to do. So when we get those inversions, we're kind of going away from that and disrespecting the imbalance, meaning that we're probably going to want to go the other way. And so that is why when you get it with such strong volume, it's like a really, really clear, like the market's telling you, hey, we're disrespecting this. We don't want to do this anymore. We want to go this way. And that is why when you get the more volume you can get with an IFVG, typically the better it's going to be. You are going to have to risk more just because there's more volume, and if you get a really strong push, but your win rate is going to be better. Like this trade was a really, really good trade just because of how much volume we got from it and because of this data high. So that is going to be my favorite way to trade IFVGs, just towards strong draws and liquidity. Liquidity is going to be number one. All right. And second way you trade these IFVGs is in continuations, right? So you can obviously trade continuations towards strong draws and liquidity like this, right? But I'm more so meaning you're kind of just riding the wave. Like when you're doing stuff like this, you're gonna hit the trades a lot quicker just because you're taking it really closely towards a strong draw and liquidity. But you can take these IFVGs with the current market structure and just ride the wave, right? So market opens again, we push up, strong move down, get this 1 minute inversion, and we're still in bullish market structure, so it's a good trade, right? We're still in bullish market structure, you have your stop below the low, and you can literally just ride the wave, right? You can find other semi-important draws on liquidity, right? You can find these big gaps and just trade towards them and literally just ride the wave, right? So that is also a really, really good way to trade these IFVGs. You can just use them as trend confirmation, right? Because again, if we're in this bullish uptrend and we're going to get a strong candle down, we're going to form bearish fair value gaps in an uptrend, right? We're going to get a retracement, and a really good way to see if we're going to continue the trend is with an IFVG, right? We get a push. We're going to have retracements in uptrends and downtrends. Retracements are part of it, right? But if we're going to turn it from a retracement into a break of structure, we're going to tap into that gap, respect it, and continue to move lower, right? So that is why IFVGs are a really good way for trend confirmation, right? We have a retracement right here, and we see this gap, and we can two things are going to happen, right? We're either going to tap into the gap, move lower, break this bearish or bullish structure, or we're going to inverse it, disrespect all of these bearish orders, and continue to move up with the trend. So those are the two best ways that I like to trade IFVGs, okay? I don't really like taking reversals unless it's really, really clear and obvious. Like a really good example of this would be off of this right over here. This is a reversal trade you could have taken, but didn't end up working out. So this other one I'm going to go over would have been a lot better. So we come up. The reason I would not have taken this is because we didn't have a failure swing, right? We come up and we just immediately catapult down and get a 1 minute inversion. I don't like taking inversions just like this unless we have a failure swing. Okay. What I mean by that is like this. So this is a failure swing, right? We push up, we start to move down, and instead of making a new high and continuing the trend, we push lower. This gives me a lot more confidence in a reversal than something like this, because we push up, we actually make a new high here, and we just rip down, right? So I don't like that because it's 50% confidence, because we don't have a failure swing to show that we are going to actually go lower. We just, out of nowhere, we just go lower. So I really would not have liked this IFVG at all. It's kind of a pattern trade, but something like this is what I would have liked a lot more, right? Where we come up here, sweep out this liquidity, and really don't push past high at all, and we end up pushing lower, getting a CISD here. So this short I would have liked a lot more than just something like this, okay? So I would have loved to take this short, stop up there, and full take profit could have been right here at this wick, or could have taken it lower, but I would have trailed and probably gotten out around here. So that is just those are just the only three ways I would trade IFVGs, right? And kind of are the only three ways you can, to be honest. But I would try to stay away from reversals like this. Reversals like this are just, you can catch them pretty insane RR, but they're just not as high probability. And trades like this would be my third favorite. Trading with strong volume towards drawn liquidity is going to be my favorite. And then just trend confirmation and trend continuation is going to be my second favorite. So you have to understand when to use IFVGs and when to not, because again, they're all over the place, especially if you're on the lower time frames, like 30-second, 1 minute, you're going to see IFVGs all over the place, right? So IFVGs are really, really good confluence, and they are the main thing in my strategy, right? So hope this video helped. If anybody has any questions, leave a comment. If you want to join the Discord, also leave a comment. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, and I hope everyone has a good one.